Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 31st of August 1961. Buddhist and Non-Buddhist. The Buddha taught that on the way to Nibbana, if you don't have a good guide, you can't realize it. The guide here is a noble being. Here someone experienced in Dhamma is referred to the Buddha in the Magandiya Sutta. If a good guide like the Buddha was not arising in the world and humans worshipped and believed everything which they desired and felt are painful existences, apayas. If we follow the following points and practice, we will be free from disease and know Nibbana, i.e., approaching a noble being, listening to his teaching and practicing accordingly. At seeing something, if you do not contemplate the beginning of the DA process, anger arises with the seeing. If you can contemplate the beginning and DA process can't follow you at the end, i.e., dosa, soka, parideva, etc., after the seeing and the DA process stops. Therefore, the DA process will stop or continue, you know it by yourself. This is the inside sasana Dhamma, i.e., Buddha Dhamma, that you know like this. If you see something and become disappointed, and this is outside sasana Dhamma, teachings of other faiths. This is usual, like a tradition. DEA process revolves outside the teachings, all other faiths. DEA process can stop only at inside Dhamma. Do you have the sasana or not? Investigate and observe yourself. The Buddha sasana has to be distinguished with the Khandha process, and not with the years and months. At the time not contemplating with insight is outside the teaching. If you contemplate you'll become an insider of Dhamma. A person who is a Buddhist or non-Buddhist also determines with this point. Outside the Buddha sasana, the knowledge of belief in the results of action, kamma sakata nana, is the end path of some faiths. Except this knowledge there are more dharmas leading to woeful existences. This point is important to contemplate up to international level. Nowadays we see and encounter a lot of violence and cruelty going on around the world. Even some Buddhists or Buddhist countries are not immune from it. Therefore, believing in kamma alone is not enough for becoming a Buddhist. A true Buddhist should understand the DA teaching very well. Whatever arises in you is sankhara, conditioned phenomenon. Sankhara is not only kamma, volition, which is sankharakanda. There is no person and no being in it, then the identity view falls away. It's the sankhara khandha body and there is no man and woman in it. All arising is sankhara, sabbe sankhara. If you discern sankhara and don't worry will attain the path knowledge, magga nana. The reason of not attaining path and fruit, magga and phala, is making sankhara into a person and a being. Therefore, it continues the DA process with ditthi. If you know sabbe sankhara, all conditioned phenomena, identity view and annihilation view are falling away. There is one more addition to it. Sabbe sankhara anicca, all conditioned phenomena are after arising and passing away. After discerning anicca, become free from permanent view, sasata ditthi. This becomes the right view where three wrong views die away. Sayadaw continued to explain the insight process of discerning anicca, disenchanting of anicca and the ending of anicas by using the Dhammapada verses of 277, 278 and 279. Please see it in the Dhammapada. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. 9th to the 10th of September 1961. How to use the mirror. Blind people. Tape 1. Ditthi means wrong seeing, arising from wrong thought. It's the greatest enemy. Pushing you down to apayas, hell, animal, ghost, is this guy. Punna gave an analogy using a mirror with humans. He was known as Punna Mantani Putta and the nephew of Khandha. If you stand in front of a mirror, a shadow appears in it. In the middle is the shadow and the other mirror. It doesn't appear by itself, i.e., without any cause and reason. Its appearance is due to the mirror and includes the person. Is this shadow oneself? No, it isn't. If asking again, is it another? And the answer is, no. It becomes clear that the shadow is not oneself and others. If it were really you, the person standing in front of the mirror would be another person. I'll explain that the one in the mirror isn't anything else either, because the shadow looks the same as the one in front of the mirror. This is the shadow arising by looking at it. It's a phenomenon which doesn't belong to oneself and others or both. Looking at one's body with the worldling eyes and me arises with tanha and mana. It's arising with the combination of the wrong eyes and wrong clinging, taking anicca, dukkha, anatta as nicca, sukha and atta. Listen carefully. This Dhamma is quite beneficial for becoming a stream enterer. With the worldling eyes looking at oneself and other, the shadows of tanha, mana and ditthi arise, as the analogy of mirror. With ditthi connects to dittupadana and kama and it sends to apaya. It falls away, ceases, and becomes a sotapanna. With the correction of the eyes, the doors to apaya are closed. In one day, how many times do you look at the mirror? It's uncountable. If you looking at it once and three kinds of tanha, mana and ditthi arise. The culprit of samsara is wrong seeing. Because of the wrong seeing and ditthi arises. So beings are going to apayas. The arising of the khandha is the cause of kama, chitta, uttu and ahara. The arising of the mind is the causes of sense object and sense base, aramana and vara. It's not me, not mine and not my thing. These phenomena are produced through conditioned reflexes. If you are watching and observing, it only has arising and passing away. Sayadaw gave the example of feeling, Vedana. It arises by contact, phassa. Here Sayadaw gave the important cause of phassa. This is not my feeling. It was done by others, not one cause. And after it arises and ceases. In the arising not include me and also in the passing away not include me. So ditthi falls away. Tape 2. For the attainment of noble eyes, one must practice dhammanadhammapatipatti, practice according to the Dhamma. The knowledge, jnana, arises with discernment and attaining the noble eyes. If you think, I am healthy, then you still have not attained noble eyes yet. It is true that the aggregates, Khandha, have sores and are filled with piercing thorns. The Dhamma is the Khandha body, and the Khandha body is Dhamma. There is a remarkable teaching by Sayadaw to Daka Sain, who was a regular Dhamma listener in Amarapura. One time Sayadaw gave his last Dhamma talk in Amarapura and continued his teaching in Mogok. After the end of the talk, Daka Sain complained to Sayadaw, saying that after he left, they did not have the chance to listen to his talk, and then they got used to it. Sayadaw's response was, "This is not difficult. I'll give the duty to the Khandha. You have to listen to the Khandha Dhamma. It will teach you." Anudhamma means, practice accordingly. We are talking about feeling, perception, etc. i.e., 5 khandhas. In reality we must discern arising and passing away, anicca. If you discern this, you have the view in accordance with the Dhamma. You all see the arms, the legs, etc. These are not seen according to Dhamma. Your seeing and what is real are different. This is the seeing of a double-blind man. If you don't see the reality, your eye-seeing will connect the round of existence, samsara. In the whole of samsara, your knowing and what is real do not fit together. People do not know the khandhas as diseases and sores that cling to them. Because of that they get back births and deaths. The appearance of a Buddha as a doctor aims to cure the blind people. He urged the blind 1,792 times in his life to look for teachers. It's sure not for politicians and economists. See all the problems and sufferings at international levels. Why is that? Because humans' blindness has a very long life history. Therefore, the Buddha has great compassion, Maha Karuna, for them. Here Sayadaw mentioned humorously some of the Khandha dukkha, and in many ways humans make adjustment and conditioning for the body. This body and all the belongings at home are the cause of birth, jati, due to clinging, upadana. It's not easy to talk about nana. I have to talk about these things is for killing ditthi tana. The Khandha is telling you that I'll go down there, i.e., apayas, represent painful downfall, because it's so heavy. Your kilesa is heavy if you still not practice in accordance with Dhamma, your both eyes still not seeing the light yet. It must be treated with vipassana medicine and path knowledge medicine. Sayadaw talked about contemplation of feeling. The Khandha as the aggregate of feeling oppresses beings with different kinds of feelings. Because of the pleasant, unpleasant and neutral feelings that da processes are continuing. Therefore, it becomes cool with no feelings, i.e., with no khandhas existing. Whenever a feeling, Vedana, arises, use the 5 path factors to contemplate its impermanence, anicca. At first you discern the feeling, and later the truth of dukkha. Anicca is dukkha sakka. You all are dying with feelings. With no feeling, happiness will arise. All the 31 realms of existence are not free from feelings. Therefore, don't make prayers for existence. Khandhas are like disease, thorns, etc. Being free from disease is nibbana, and having disease is to have khandha. With the cessation of birth and death, there will be no khandha existence. Dharma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 14th of September 1961. Too crazy, burning oneself with fire. Tape 1. Expecting good karma, similar to expecting good luck, is expecting dukkha. Because the process, action, of becoming conditioned rebirth, kamabhava pakaya jati, dukkha sakka. Consulting an astrologer is asking, when will I suffer? Usually people consult an astrologer for their future good luck. You people are too crazy. These karmas, good or bad or mixed, are oppressing people. It leads to the vipaka vata, the round of results, existence or khandha. Most people love dukkha. Therefore, dukkha sakka is quite difficult to appreciate and understand by worldlings. From having one child, then you desire for 2 children, etc. The Buddha wants you to free from the round of existence, but you all are expecting for it. Is it not opposite to the Buddha? You all prefer to hit with a big rock, if it's a small rock and you don't like it. These dharmas are governed by sanata dharmas. If you don't understand sanata and sasata, ditthi enters you, permanent view. As example, dukkha is done by oneself. Sayadaw talked about the story of the naked ascetic Kassapa. If you have sasata ditthi, you will become like a samsaric tree stump. Even though many Buddhas have arisen, they can't free themselves from dukkha. People who are making dana with kamasakata sama ditthi will not be free from ditthi, i.e., wrong view of sasata. The Buddha talked about kama with metaphors or metaphorically, but taking the meanings directly that it becomes sasata ditthi. See Dhammapada verse 1 and 2. The metaphors are the wheel of a cart and a shadow. Kama arises and passes away. Ditthi, wrong views, are the province of the taints, asavas. Can one arrive at nibbana? All dukkhas arise by da processes. It doesn't relate to any god or gods, Sakka and Maha Brahma. The god's view of nibbana is heaven, which is dukkha sakka. Therefore, if you want to be free from all dukkhas, you have to cut off the process. That is following behind the Khandha with Magga. Contemplate Sankhara with insight. You have to take the objects of Sankhara. If you take the objects of a person and a being, Magga not arise, only kilesas arise. Therefore, identity view is like a weapon of mass destruction. If you focus on feeling and contemplate Vedana Sankhara, or focus on the mind and contemplate Chitta Sankhara. Don't contemplate by mixing up. At last all will converge at Anicca, arises and passes away. Tape 2. The fools who feed their Khandha longer and longer lives are becoming worse and worse, i.e., increasing unwholesomeness, akasala. It is like increasing the flesh of a pig. What happens with the increment of the flesh? It will be hit by the spear earlier. Here also the same, if feeding the Khandha with unwholesomeness will be hit by spears of apayas. This is the way of feeding the Khandha by fools. For the wise, they nourish the Khandhas with wholesome qualities. By practicing the noble path with the Khandhas, they can end suffering. It has the decisive support condition which sends to Nibbana, Upanissaya Pakayo. There is no time limit for suffering in the apayas. According to the Buddha, these beings suffered according to their karmas, and no lifespan. Do not feed the Khandha body for just one life's comfort. When the Buddha appeared, the 31 realm of existence were burning with fire. The Khandha body of living beings is burning with the fire of aging, sickness and death, and also in the heart, mind, burning with the fire of greed, hatred and delusion. Therefore, the Khandha is with fuel and fire together. It always has two kinds of fire with it, the fire of permanent burning, aging and sickness, fire and burning with changing fire, changing of kilesas. Therefore, it's good to extinguish the Khandha fire. The ignorant who pray for the next Khandhas, rebirth, are like those who burn themselves by changing fire. They will eventually suffer in samsara. The Khandha fire is burning with force and strength, but humans worry of its extinction by doing merits and demerits, kasala and akasala, and then this is putting more fuels in it. To accumulate merits by praying for the Khandhas is like adding fuel to the fire before it extinguishes, burning continuously non-stop. Eventually, the karmic fire will burn one's body. Therefore, it is becoming far from Nibbana where the 11 types of fire are extinguished. We have to finish or stop the work of adding fuels in it. You all have to do this under the power or arrangement of your master, Tanna. Therefore, there are more wholesome and unwholesome under the power of taints, asavas. All these things, Dhamma, can be talked about only inside the sasana. Outside the sasana, humans are only doing the job of refueling the fire. Humans doing this outside the teaching is let it be, but it should not happen now with the Dhamma teachings existing. If you do merit with vivata kasala, that is to do merit with the desire to be free from dukkha. Khandha is like a bonfire, and the one who puts firewoods in is like a fire worshipper, a Hindu belief. The Buddha saw this and asked the Brahmin why he did it. His answer was, I want to extinguish the fire. I don't know, in the sutta this Brahmin would answer like this. Maybe like this. I am worried it'll die out. Fire worship is a reunion with the Creator. In the Buddhist sense it's worshipping of kilesa fire, so it increases defilements. So, Sayadaw made a joke here. There was an interesting story about a fire worshipper. Near dying he saw a bonfire as a mind object, so he mentioned it to the Brahmins beside his deathbed. They reminded him to incline his mind there, which they took as heaven. After the Brahmin died, fallen into hell. Daka Kaiway. Why are you busy every day? Yes, Venerable, not give the answer. Sayadaw gave the answer. I am worrying that the fire will go out. Upasaka U. Kaiwei was a textile owner who was a regular Dharma listener, an old man and sitting in front of Sayadaw. The majority of people will say any kind of merit is good. Merits with round of existence are adding firewoods or fuels. Merits stopping the round of existence is extinguishing the fire. Who is burnt by adding fuels? It'll burn yourself. If all of you don't have the chance to listen to this kind of talk, you will take it as a traditional job. i.e., merits and demerits. You have pleasure on this Khandha that's searching for woods, i.e., affection on the Khandha. If you recognize it as a bonfire, you will not search for it. Therefore, contemplation with insight to know the Khandha as bonfire. With the contemplation you'll find out the Khandha is burnt up and perishing with birth and death fires, jati and marana. At last, being enlightened by contemplation and not wanting it, then one will find Nibbana where both fuel and fire cease or are extinguished. Dharma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 16th of September 1961. Knowing and Seeing. There are 3 reasons for the Buddha to give Dharma talk: with request, without request, and depending on the situation. Without request is out of compassion and is unrelated to what is appropriate or inappropriate. Depending on the situation, it is, for example, a quarrel between relatives on both sides. Out of his loving kindness, metta, and compassion, karuna, for all living beings, the Buddha revealed his teachings to the fools and the wise men in a non-requesting and adaptable way, so that they could be liberated from suffering, dukkha. The Buddha had strong disgust to get another Khandha. He was very glad and preferred not having a Khandha. In the discourses, Suttanta, DEA. Process is expressed in series or online. Actually, Vijnana, Nama Rupa, Salayatana, Phassa and Vedana, all are arising together, in Abhidhamma. In the book it mentioned 3 kinds of feelings arise. This is knowing with learning Natta Parina. The actual desire is contemplation, practice, Tarana Parina. In direct experience only one kind of feeling arises. At the time of its arising you must know it. Only with Tarana Parina Pahana Parina will be possible. Practice leads to realization. Phassa Pakaya Sukha, Dukkha and Upekkha Vedanas, contact conditions pleasant, unpleasant and neutral feelings. You have to know it, arising, and also see it, contemplating. When the contemplating mind arises and it's not there anymore, the arising Vedana. Why am I discussing this at the moment you are observing it, and it's not there anymore? 2 kinds of feeling can't be in parallel, can't arise together. At the time of feeling, objects arising, the feeling of the contemplating mind can't arise. Contemplating knowledge mind is always a neutral feeling. It's good for contemplation on this point. Vedanas are unable to be in parallel that only after the feeling object ceases, the contemplating knowledge or mind, Vedana, can arise. The Vedana object is anicca and the contemplating knowledge Vedana is sankhara. This also arises through conditioning. Observe anicca with sankhara. Contemplating the arising Vedana is from the heart, where it arises. Contemplate the arising anicca with new sankhara. The object is old sankhara. If the new sankhara also ceases, can't contemplate the object, i.e., the contemplating mind comes late. The reason is you can't contemplate anicca with the anicca. The cessation is anicca and the arising is sankhara. You have to contemplate with this sankhara. Here is arising and at the time you contemplate it already ceases. With this cessation and this arising meet together. If I don't discuss this topic, what will happen to Vipassana practitioners? They'll believe the contemplating mind is permanent, without perishing, and harbor sasata ditthi in their hearts. If you say the contemplating mind is looking at it, it will become sasata ditthi. It's also sankhara anicca. The arising Dhamma is also sankhara anicca. You have to note it carefully. This is killing of ditthi at both sides. Insight with no ditthi falls away is useless vipassana. The Buddha was very worried about of ditthi not fallen away as an important matter. Some say they are contemplating it but don't see it. It seems the contemplating Dhamma is permanent. Contemplate anicca with sankhara. This kind of Dhamma is quite difficult. It's also quite right. If not explain him, that object, aramana, is anicca and the contemplating mind, aramanicca, is nicca. I.e., sasata view. If it's like this, even with full effort you can't achieve it, because there was evidence in the suttas related to some disciples of the Buddha. Sankhare sankhara vipassanti, sankhara dhamma contemplates sankhara dhamma. If not, it was like with the monk Sati, Mahathana Sankhaya Sutta, Minnesota 38, then it becomes sasata ditthi. According to him only other phenomena were died, but the mind Vinanam not died. Sotapatti magga cannot arise if ditthi exists. When the object of contemplation is showing its anicca and the contemplative sankhara mind contemplates it. Whatever parami you have if ditthi resists will not achieve it. Sapurisa samsevo, approaching a good teacher, as mentioned by the Buddha, is a crucial factor for entering the stream. To Sariputta, SN 55.5. Translated from the Pali by Thanissaro Bhikkhu. Then, Sariputta went to the Blessed One and, on arrival, having bowed down to him, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, the Blessed One said to him, "A factor for stream entry, a factor for stream entry," this it is said. And what, Sariputta, is a factor for stream entry? Quote, association with people of integrity, Lord, is a factor for stream entry. Listening to the true Dhamma is a factor for stream entry. Appropriate attention is a factor for stream entry. Practice in accordance with the Dhamma is a factor for stream entry. https://www.dharmatalks.org/suttas/sn/sn55.html. He was a short-lived Buddha that left behind many Dhamma for us. This is the differences between long-life Buddha and short-life Buddha, e.g. Kassapa Buddha and Gautama Buddha. Sayadaw explained the wise and the fool with the DA chart. The wise cut off the DA process within two lives, i.e., past and present, and the fool connects to three lives, i.e., past, present and future. If there are three lives, it is like the feet of a centipede. It has many feet and will keep moving forward. You must contemplate the anicca of arising with magga sankhara. Knowledge must stay with the Khandha. If the sasata view from the contemplating object and the contemplative knowledge falls away and is not very long, one will attain the path knowledge. It doesn't matter how many bhavanga citas exist between them, i.e., between object and contemplative mind. Bhavanga citta is not kilesa mind. If lobha, dosa, moha dharmas are coming in between them and it takes longer times for the practice. There is no fault with bhavangas between and with kilesas, it will take long for the practice. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 17th of September 1961. Worse than an atomic bomb. The Buddha spent 45 years warning us 36 times. So this matter is very important. Therefore, it should not be slow and late. Take it as the most important part of your matter and practice hard. Now, you all are at Sugati, a good destination as humans. It's important for going on the way to the ending of dukkha, which is nibbana. Don't desire for good existences, Gati. Now you are at Sugati, and making prayers back for Sugati, after deaths, is playing the same play again. With the inspiration that, I must move from Sugati towards Nibbana, and by listening to the talk and practicing. The Buddha warning us 36 times indicates he had great compassion, concern for all living beings. The arrangement of Tanha and Kama is never good, even if it will lead to Sugati, i.e., with merits. Because Tanha is a lustful lunatic, Ragomata or Rago-umata, following the order of the lunatic, that Kama builds the house of Khandha, so can it be good? Accept the truth of dukkha, it cannot be otherwise. Even jhanas are dukkha, no need to mention about the inferior sensual pleasures. The Khandha, which we get from Tanha and Kama, has many kinds of dukkha. Sayadaw mentions some of them. If you look at the DA process will know it. Don't desire for Sugati, desire is Tanha. Is Tanha normal or crazy? The Buddha exhorted us to practicing vipassana. Do not be heedless with family matters and businesses. With heedlessness, at dying, remorse and worry become prevalent. Sayadaw explained about the object signs of woeful existences and deathbed situations. You have to prepare for it from now. At near death you have no time for it. I have to teach vipassana if you want from grimaced death to smiling death. Vipassana is very easy. I will explain how to practice it easily. He told the story in the Indriyabhavana Sutta, number 152, Majjhima Nikaya. You will see the object if you open your eyes. After seeing it, lobha, dosa and moha minds will arise, one of them. These can be desire, hatred, or no attention. Among these three, one of them will arise. For all these mind states I am worrying about all of you. Sayadaw told about the Japan atomic bomb. With every glance, if you lack sati, an atomic bomb falls on you. Quilt funny analogy. If I were to speak openly or clearly, it would be more painful than an atomic bomb. Why is that? Because after seeing it, if greed, lobha mind, arises, it leads to uncountable births. Atomic bombs only kill you once, this life. Lobha, also dosa, moha, makes you die no end. Don't take it lightly, as I don't believe it. This is natural law, Dhamma niyama. Here we can discern the importance of Dharma education and Dharma nutriments for all humankinds. It's a great tragedy and disgusting to see some humans with their foolishness and craziness create a lot of tensions. Conflicts, killings and harming or eliminate each other on the international levels, such as territory or land disputes, competition in arms industries and economics, trade wars, etc. Even animals can live together in peace and harmony. This is my own experience in observing nature. Humans for greed, hatred, ill will, envy, selfishness, etc. They can give up their lives for unwholesome dharmas. Dharma education should be promoted on international levels, similar to the English language. Otherwise, human beings would cease to be human. Today humans progress in sciences and technologies, seem they are intelligent. By using it wrongly and improperly, they become intelligent fools because they don't know how to use the mind. Buddha Dharma can fulfill this most important factor, and without this humans are always leading toward destruction. At the time of seeing, if lobha arises and you can't control it, then let it arise. But, you have to follow it with reflection, yoniso, wise reflection, because this is a resultant dharma arising by conditioning. The continuing dharma, i.e., lobha, is stopped there, not lead to clinging, upadana. The reflective path factors mind, magga nana, follows it, tanha right pointing arrow yoniso. If the cause ceases and this dharma is destroyed, This is the same as contemplating anicca. It becomes the equanimity of insight, vipassanupekkha, knowledge. These lobha, dosa and moha dharmas become anicca. It cannot continue the DA process, and can't receive the next khandha. This is the security of the faculties or development of the sense faculties. At near death, only anicas appear in the mind, someone who has the practice. It's important to discern anicas at near death. Dharma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 5th of October 1961. Dharma is in the Khandha. Dharma exists in you, so I am asking you to practice it. 4 kinds of Dharma exist within the Khandha. These are black Dharma, white Dharma, black and white mixed Dharma, and neither black nor white Dharma. People think that there are only bad and good Dharmas. You have affection for this aggregate of feelings. Affection is craving, tanha. With the affection you're working to feed and look after it. Vedana pakaya tanha pakaya parayasana, feeling right pointing arrow, craving right pointing arrow, seeking or working. You also have affection for the khandhas of son and daughter, children, seeking more for them. Because of seeking, it increases tanha. You're busy every day for it and don't realize that this is black Dharma. For example, when you're going into the darkness at night and are bitten by a viper snake, you don't know what has bitten you. In this case, you all are bitten by tanha and must go to upayas. The seeds in the banana kill the banana tree. Here tanha inside also is asking you for seeking and will send you upayas. Tanha also has 2 kinds. Tanha has affection to the khandha and tanha seeking to feed it. Parayasana right pointing arrow labho equals seeking right pointing arrow acquisition. People gain money and wealth, maybe even power in politics. After attainment of money, power, they are smiling. This is the smiling of tanha. They can smile at the tasks of going to upayas. Sometimes Sayadaw's remarks on human stupidity are humorous and profound. This is not the DA process of wandering in the whole of samsara, but the DA of family life. Labha right pointing arrow vinasaya, vinisaya, vibhavana or niyamo, equals acquisition right pointing arrow ascertainment, which requires planning on how to use them. Making ascertainment with ditthi and tanha or becoming of ditthi, tanha, Sayadaw gave example of for wives and children. For nowadays humans for conflicts and wars, including trade wars, polluting the environments and nature, etc. Up to international levels, they are doing these things all the time. Do they consider these actions as the dharmas of dark demerits? For some leaders, politicians, economists, etc. These are human progress. This can be prevented by encountering a good teacher. This shows the greatest importance of a Buddha and Dharma education. There are medicines if you are inflicted with wounds and diseases. There is rightness if there are mistakes. Don't be afraid of aging. You have to fear ignorance in the face of aging because you're developing of tanha. In this case Buddhists are luckier than Western counterparts. It's from the homes that you are going to upayas. The khandhas are oppressing you until you arrive there. Khandha is dukkha sakha, the truth of suffering that oppresses someone who has it. Vinasaya right pointing arrow chanda rago equals ascertainment right pointing arrow desire passion. All living beings are subject to suffering according to the Dharma's arrangement. Therefore, we have to abandon the Dharma which should be abandoned. Your business is whether in progress, or in failure whatever it may be, leading towards the direction of Del-U, Burmese word for hell cauldron or hell wok. All these things are difficult to know or understand. Then, Ananda took the DA process as easy to understand. The Buddha answered him as difficult. Chanda rago right pointing arrow upadana, attachment, right-pointing arrow araka, possessiveness, right-pointing arrow makarya, stinginess, right-pointing arrow defensiveness, and because of defensiveness of possessions there arise the taking up of sticks and swords, quarrels, disputes, etc. All these unwholesome things happen because of the Khandha. See the Mahanidana Sutta, DN 15. It's the same as drinking poison with a mistake and also having to die. Is it suitable to live your life without knowing? Only the Buddha's teaching, Dhamma, becomes knowledge, Nana, the sasana exists. This is the most important. You already have taken the poison, i.e., Kilesa poison, and it's not suitable to drink the antidote medicine slowly. Death will overcome you. Meeting with a good teacher and you don't practice it in time is the greatest loss. Sayadaw gave example of a Sita hermit, also known as Devala hermit, and the Bodhisattva's two early teachers, Alara Kalama and Uddaka Ramaputta. If you still don't know about defilements, kilesas, and will never attain nibbana,